Would you explain how man created God?
If we can't listen, what good would your explanation be?
What would your, as you point out, Madam, what would you say if you are not conditioned by your religion, by your fears? What would you say about God? Of course, God is a marvelous investment. You can preach about God and make a lot of money, as they are doing. So if you not, please listen to this very carefully. In India, they are conditioned one way. You understand? They believe in different gods. You come to Europe, they believe in a certain God and his God's son, absolute, and so on. And there are people who have never heard of Christ. And they say, what is this? Who is he? My God is more important than that man. So it all depends on your conditioning, right? One doesn't see this. When the mind is free from that conditioning, what's God? So that's why man, out of his fear, out of his loneliness, out of his extraordinary, hopeless state, he says, for God, there must be something that will protect me. Right? The father image, he worships something. So man creates God.